Hey Dragonlings, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Skye. I'm a fantasy author who typically writes paranormal romance under the name SD Hegyes, and today we're going to talk about my spinning wheel of chaotic doom. So if you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I am very heavily into planning, and I'm very much a fan of using my Kanban board to plan my quarters and kind of have a visual layout of what I need to get done and what it looks like as I get stuff done. However, that being said, lately, for the past several quarters, I have felt like I haven't gotten anything accomplished. A lot of times I will plan out my projects. If you don't know, I use the HB90 method to plan out my goals for the quarter, and then I write what I need to do in minute tasks on sticky notes and put them on my Kanban board at the top for the to-do list, and then the middle is the to-doing, as in I'm working on those right now, and then the bottom is to done. And I got it separated into 3 separate goals. Okay, that was just an overview of how I use it. Lately, however, I've been doing all this planning, and I've planned various projects, and not many of them are getting done. So I've just been finding myself not following my Kanban board. It's been interesting. For example, quarter 2, I had plans to work on the Shifters and Mages series as a whole. Book 1 is complete. It's formatted. I just need to do some final checks, get the final page count so I can get that information to my cover artist so that we can get working on the paperback. I've already got the ebook cover, and get everything finalized so I can get it published in December when it's supposed to be. And then book 2 is currently with the professional editor, and there were some tasks that I needed to do as far as that goes. And then book 3 has been to the editor for the first time and has come back, and I am supposed to be doing a complete rewrite of it based on my editor's notes. So all of those things I wanted to get done in Q2. And then the other thing I wanted to get done was that I wanted to work on my newsletter exclusive story. It was something I originally started writing. It was supposed to be a novella. It turned into a novel. It was a challenge. It was a project for the 7-day book challenge last September, and then I started posting it to my newsletter for subscribers, and they were getting a chapter a month. However, I ran out of chapters, and so my goal was to write more of those chapters, at least 4 or 5, and honestly, I wanted to complete the story. It is one I'm very passionate about. I really like it. However, I just didn't work on it. I had a lot of feelings once I had my Kanban board set up. I'm very much of out of sight, out of mind person. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Hence the Kanban board. However, I'm also the kind of person that I haven't been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I do notice that I have some symptoms of ADHD, and including the out of sight, out of mind thing. But the other thing is that I just cannot focus on stuff for very long, or I have the opposite effect where I focus on something without ever looking away from it, or going to get food or drink. So I have both ends of the spectrum. Sometimes I can't focus on anything, and sometimes I am so hyper-focused I just forget about the world around me. There is no middle that I have found so far. The other thing I have combated is shiny project syndrome. I will get an idea and I will be like, ooh, let me write this out as much as I can think of until I can't think of anything else about it before I forget it. And I have suffered from that a lot this past quarter, this past year, forever and a day. But mostly it was the fact that whenever I would open up the projects that I wanted to focus on, whether that was part of the Shifters and Mages series or even the Jesse St. George, the newsletter exclusive, there's that meme of the claymation penguin. I don't know exactly where it's from, but he's kind of got his arms crossed and he's like, now I don't want to do it. That's exactly what my brain would do. Every time I opened up one of the documents for something I was supposed to work on, that was in my plan to work on, my brain would be like, no, let's do something else. And on the other end of that spectrum, I've been calling myself a binge writer. because I will have days where I write 5,000 to 10,000 words, and like the words are flowing, everything is going great. Followed by days or weeks, and sometimes there's been a couple times it's even been months where I absolutely write not a word. So I wanted a way to like get away from that habit. I don't necessarily want to write daily, but I wanted to write more consistently. And I've been trying different methods of this. I did the GBB challenge, which was the good, better, best challenge, where the goal was to write daily for 7 days in a row. And I had 3 word count goals that I wanted to try to hit. One was a good goal, one was a better goal, one was like over the moon dream kind of goal, best goal. And I've done that challenge a couple of times, but I'm definitely a person who likes challenges because they force me to actually work on stuff. However, I'm noticing like with the GBB, if I did that every week, it would feel less like a challenge and more like a habit, I guess. And my brain was like, no, we're not doing that. So while it worked the first couple of times I did it, to continuously do it, it stopped having the effect I wanted. All of that to say, this is all leading up to what I promised I wanted to talk about. All of that to say that when Sam from writer Sam Wicker made a post asking if anyone wanted to join them for a live stream talking about writer's block and working through stuff, I jumped on that because like I thought maybe the reason I couldn't work on the projects that I wanted to work on, the ones that I had planned on working on, was because I was stuck. The whole point of the breaking the block discussion that we did was that we were going to talk about writer's block, what causes it, whether it's stress, mental health, whether, again, there was outside sources affecting your writing. We talked about combating it. We talked about refilling the well and just like adding stuff that would eventually percolate ideas for writing stuff. And then from there, we talked about our individual projects and what we wanted to where we were stuck on the project. And we talked about it as a group about ideas and kind of spitballed ideas that would help further the plot. And it was during this discussion that I had a couple of different ideas. I had an idea for one of the short stories I was working on, and that was just a eureka moment, and it was fantastic and it was great. But the other thing was that I was like, what if I feed into that idea in my brain that I just hop around projects? And from there I was like, okay, if I feed into that and I go with that and I just work on random projects as I feel like working on them, how do I choose what I'm going to work on? Because that was the other thing that I couldn't think of. I was like, okay, so how do I pick a project? And that's where the idea of the spinning wheel came from. From the breaking the block discussion, I had the idea to feed into the fact that I tend to project hop around. And I decided to try to find a wheel in order to pick a project. From there, I Googled spinning wheels and I ended up choosing the first one. I tried a couple of different ones to see how I would like them. But what I really liked about the one I picked, which I will put a picture here, what I really liked about that was the fact that I can customize it as far as like colors go. I could put in as many items as I wanted to, which was fantastic because some of the ones I found, they were limited to so many choices. The other thing I found was that I can save the wheel and I can open it in other devices. So like I could open it on my desktop computer, I can open it on my laptop, I can open it on my phone. There is no way to log into the specific account until you click on the save option, and then it will have you log in or open option. And the same thing with saving it. It will have you, there's like no login button. You just, when you open or save a document, that's when it logs you in, which was very weird. But the point of the matter was that of the sites I looked at, this one was the most user-friendly, because another option I found out later that I could do is that I could use images instead of text. So I haven't played around with that option yet, but I do want to, where I'll put like covers of stories and use that to pick what I'm going to be working with next. But when I started using the wheel, I had I wrote out a list of everything I wanted to put on it. And at first I had all of the series that I was planning on working on, not the individual titles within the series, but the series as a whole. So that meant that if it chose that series, I could work on any of the projects within that series. I wasn't limited to a specific title within that series, which made things so much more fantastic too. But so I had my list of series, I had my list of standalone novels and novellas, I had my list of collections, and then I had some random tasks popped in there, like updating my reading journal, cleaning off my desk, and just stuff that needed to be done but wasn't necessarily on a time limit, and were larger projects, not just like a quick 5-minute one and done. They were larger projects that were going to take time to do. So I put all of these on my spinning wheel. It was a lot. There was 50 items there. 30 plus of them were just story ideas, whether that of all the things I mentioned. 30 plus of them were just story ideas. And I cut it down by taking out all of my pen name stuff. Other than two. So the only things I left on it were anything that was published, that's going to be published under SD Hegyes, because that is my main name and I want that stuff done faster and quicker than my other pen names. And then the other thing I left on there, because there's only one of it, was the nonfiction writing prompt book that I'm working on. And then of course I left all of the random tasks. So from there I was spinning my wheel and letting it choose what I worked on. The first time I used the wheel was actually during one of my live streams, and every sprint I was spinning the wheel and letting it choose a new project for me to work on. And while that technically worked, because my sprints are only 25 minutes long and some of the projects that it was picking for me were ones I hadn't looked at in months/years, I found myself spending the entire sprint just reading back through what I'd already done and making notes. And I didn't get any real progress done. I did get stuff done, just wasn't any more forward progress. So the next time I did a live stream where I featured the wheel, I decided to spin the wheel at the very beginning of the stream and then work on that, whatever it picked, until I couldn't work on it anymore. Whether it was because I was stuck and just needed to work on something else because my brain was like, nope, we're done, or because I completed said task. And doing it that way, I completed a bunch of tasks within that stream itself and was able to hop on to spin the wheel again and hop on to other projects. And all of this made my brain extremely happy because I was just giddy, because it felt like a game. I'm very much into gamifying your life and making things work for you. Like, I call tasks that I have to do side quests. Whenever I have to go into town and do something, even if it's just to like go to the grocery store and pick up something for dinner that we forgot when we went massive grocery shopping, I call it an adventure. So I am very much into the idea of gamifying your life and the spinning the wheel and allowing it to pick my project, because it took the choice out of my hands. It just made things so much more fun as well as easier, because my brain wasn't stuttering on what to do next because the choice was made for me. However, I did have limitations on what I could do. And those limitations were based on like location. Most of the time when I was using the wheel, I was at home. There was a couple of times when I was taking my kids to different 4-H events and I was not at home and I was using it on my phone, which was fine. However, it would settle on tasks that had to be done at home. I don't know why, but for some reason when I was out and about was when it landed on the random tasks most of all. And most of those random tasks were stuff that had to be done in the house, like clean the library or clean my desk, organize the living room and stuff like that. The big tasks that I haven't been done yet, but I needed to get done. For some reason, it was when I was out and about and could not do those tasks that the spinning wheel chose them. And I was just like, okay, fine. So whenever it did something like that, I would just spin it again and go from there. I have debated making like a secondary wheel where when I am out and about, that's the wheel I use. So that I don't run into that problem, but I haven't hit that point yet that I've needed to, because while it did it a lot that one time, it hasn't really done it a lot since then, mostly because I've spun before I left the house and chosen the project that way. As I was testing this wheel to see how I would like this and how this would work for me, One of the things I did was I journaled in my Notion project about what I was working on and what I was doing and what I was accomplishing, which was something I was trying to do anyway, so I could keep a log of everything I'm doing on what days for multiple reasons. So I can see how consistently I'm working on stories. And then the other reason is to see what I'm working on when, to keep a better idea of how long it takes me to complete different projects from beginning to end, from idea conception to publication, as well as just to see how much time it takes me in each stage of writing. So I wanted to keep this journal of everything I was doing, which, by the way, I will be going over my Notion project and everything as far as like how I track stories and stuff on a live stream for AWC, which is the AuthorTube Writing Conference. It is happening this weekend, Friday, June 28th to June 30th. My talk, Creating a Mastermind, I can't remember, I made the mistake of making it an extremely long title, but it is talking about creating a mastermind for your Notion writing projects. And I will have a link to the AWC information in the description, but everything that I'm talking about here is listed on my Notion, which I'll be going over for that speech for AWC. So feel free to check that out. My session is on Sunday, but there is a lot of other good information from other authors and writers for the AuthorTube Writing Conference. Plus, it's free. It's free. And it'll be up forever. So even if you can't catch it this weekend, you can always come back at a later date and watch it. For the past couple of years, that's what I've had to do, because the first year I didn't find out about it until after it was done. And then the second year I was working the entire weekend. So it was days/months later before I came back to it. It was an interesting time in life. We're not going to go into that. Anyways, this is the first year that I can attend to it live, and I get to speak about my Notion project that I've worked on off and on for the past couple of years. So I'm super excited about it, and I hope you guys will join us this weekend, and especially like join me on Sunday. I'm super excited about that. And my results so far, the spinning wheel is working fantastically. I have been having a lot of fun writing on various projects. I'm spinning the wheel, letting it choose my projects, writing on different projects. The other thing is that I am finding myself writing more consistently. I am getting more work done. I'm moving forward. And I am feeling accomplished with everything I'm working on, which was the main thing, because I was so tired of having my Kanban board and nothing was moving because I wasn't working on those projects that I had listed there. I was working on something else entirely. I was still making movement forward, but it didn't feel like it. And between using the spinning wheel to choose my projects and then journaling about what I'm working on when, I am having a visual representation of everything I am working on and accomplishing, and seeing in real time, basically, what is happening. And it's fantastic. I love it so much. So I'm going to continue doing it. For the month of July, my plan, I have a couple things I want to do. My plan in July, first of all, I changed my Kanban board and how I did it. Instead of having a list of specific projects that I wanted to work on, I have changed this so that it's specific times. So each of these sticky notes covers one of the 5 weeks in July, the 1st through the 31st. And the way I have this is that I was looking at a calendar, and based on the HB90 method, I have what are called task blocks, which are blocks of time of 25 minutes. And I have each of these sticky notes is one task block. And instead of forcing myself to work on specific projects, I am trying out calculating time. This is how much time I have to work with for writing projects in July. So I'm going to use the wheel in July, and I'm going to let it choose my projects. And then as I complete stuff, I will move my task blocks down. And I'm also going to continue journaling and making sure notes on what I'm working on and how it's going and any problems I've had and all that fun stuff. I'm going to be posting weekly updates to my Facebook page as well as my Instagram account. So if you are interested in following along on this journey, feel free to follow my social medias, which I'll have a list. Their link tree is in the description. I think it's at the very bottom of the description, but it's there for you to find all of my social media so that you can follow along this journey. And then at the end of July, I plan on filming another video like this where I talk about my results and how it worked out. I hope this works out well. I think it will. It is, but I want like a full month of data to see how well it's working and how much it's working. Because I keep a word count tracker of what I've worked on and how many words I've gotten done. But I think that doing it this way, I can switch around projects no matter what they are to my heart's content. And then B, I will have that journal that tells me what exactly I've done, whether that is writing, editing, rewriting, contacting cover artists. As long as I'm doing something on the project, doesn't matter what it is. It could be marketing research. It could be like browsing Pinterest for cover ideas. As long as I'm doing something dealing with whatever project that the spinning wheel chooses, I'm counting that as a win. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you have watched any of my live streams and seen me use the wheel and were like, I want to do that too, feel free to let me know what kind of things you put on your wheel. I'm interested and nosy, and I want to know if you're watching this video now and are like, I want to use this wheel, I will have a link to the one I'm using in the description. Let me know if you were going to plan on doing this and how it goes for you. And I will have my results for the whole month of July at the end of, sometime in August. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. Because like I said, I'm going to have a results video at the end of the month. Sometime. No guarantees exactly when. Anyways, I'm going to go and I'm going to pick my project to work on today. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye, Dragonlings.